Welcome here to this show. I'm happy to have it today from O2 Tower here in Munich at Weira, at the highest place of Munich. And I'm happy to welcome here the Albatross, the former Albatross, gliding through water faster than anyone on Earth. Michael Gross, 3 Olympic goals, 5 world titles, a swimming legend who redefined the sport, but his greatest victories came after leaving the pool. Professor, author, mentor, a man who traded medals for wisdom, proving true success isn't just about speed but direction. What does a champion carry from the starting blocks to life's marathon? Michael Gross, Dreves dives deep. So, welcome here in the show, Michael. I'm very happy to have you.
Yeah, hello, Annabelle. Thank you very much for your invitation.
So we have a lot of topics to cover, and I have many questions. I think when I showed you the questions, you might have thought that we have 2 or 3 hours to discuss, and I wish we have. But we start today with a little, tiny little bit of that, and I'm very much looking forward to having you here and asking you questions not only about your former career, but also your current life, which is also a kind of second career. First of all, I was very touched when I heard the song you selected. And this song always makes me goosebumps, not just because of the song, the melody, but also because of the text. Because with this line, we are one, but we are not the same. We get to carry each other. It is really that what is it all about, isn't it? I mean, I have here a poster behind me which says, make peace more profitable than war. And we on Earth, we sometimes forget that we are all one and that we are diverse. Each of us is varies from the other one, but we try to put all these into shelves. We try to judge, we try to evaluate all the time. What is the reason that you have sorted out this great song?
Actually, the reason was that I'm a fan of U2 starting in the early 80s, really, really early. And then one means, because this was a situation, the history of this song is a situation that U2, the band, was supposed to split up in this
Mhm.
situation. So actually, it's usually played with weddings, for example, but the situation was really a tough and rough situation for the band. And this was kind of remembering the members of the band what's all about. Actually, we are not the same. We have different interests and different approaches, and but we are one. We are working on the same direction, and actually, this means coming from this band to all of us, and therefore, this message is really important. I think for everyone in every situation to be remembered. Because we cannot get away from this planet.
Yes, and I like that what you say because there are always people who try to unify us or say we are one in the idea of that they are the head of this. But one is about difference, one is about how to deal with this difference. And I think it's a song which is asking the hard questions because it is also about. I mean, Bono has pointed out in an interview that it's not that we have to carry each other, it is we get to carry each other. So it is a shift that turns of helping someone from an obligation into a privilege, a graceful act of love and humanity. And I think this is what we should have always in mind, that it's all not something we have to. It is something a must to, but we can be grateful to have the chance to do, and unity despite difference. And this is something which is so hard to put into the head of people which are patriarchal, which want to have the people are looking in one direction and would like to direct into families, into their education, into every single element, instead of understanding that innovation is a key and innovation needs difference, right?
Yes, and actually, many studies showed that our relationships, the human relationships, are the fundament for happiness, for sustainable and long-term happiness. And our relationships, there are some conflicts sometimes, but at the end of the day, to have good relationships to each other are the fundament for individual happiness. And this is really important for me, actually, because the most worst thing happening right now in university nowadays or former times in swimming is really to have bad relationships. Because at the end of the day, imagine you're just by your own and
Yeah.
running around and trying to do everything by your own, this is really exhausting. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm completely with you. And I mean, coming from sports where you have to be in your element and where everything, where you are getting water or where you're getting the rhythm of the water, I think this is even something special with this experiences you made. Your nickname, Albatross, came from your 2 meter wingspan. Did you ever feel awkward before it became your advantage?
Actually, no, because I cannot change it. It's given by birth. It's given by birth, and I'm really concentrating on everything I can change and I can influence in my life, and don't worry too much about things which I cannot influence and which are happening around me. Uh, Obviously, I'm interested in. At the end of the day, everyone starts or should start with what we can do by ourselves. And there are
Mm.
many, many things. So I never thought about, okay, bad luck. No, no, no. It's, given by birth. My parents were really, high. Let's see, my mom was 1 meter 80, so 6 feet.
Oh,
So
wow.
no surprise that I'm then 2 meter or 6'7" in feet terms.
How is it for a 14 years old Michael that, I mean, school gets a different, life gets in a different way. Your friends might be, yeah, you might be not able to meet your friends on a regular base. How was it, when you knew that life will change extremely?
So it's a free decision, actually. Swimming it was a hobby, although in young years, and this is always the case in sports, that you're in young years, starting with 10, 12 years, and then with 14, 16, 18, you have a week with 70 or 80 hours of work. That means school, studyings, training. And therefore, it's really, really a tough schedule. And it's
Mm.
really that, for example, you have to do sometimes your preparation for school in the car, driving to the workouts for swimming. So it's really, really tough schedule. Sometimes eating your dinner in the car. Yeah, you have to save time because
Yeah.
actually I have to drive a single way, almost half an hour from my hometown to the training place where I was working out. So it's
Mm.
really, really then you have 1 hour, you have to do something and not just looking out of the window. So, but you get used to it, to say it like this. And
Mm.
actually, it was a free decision. It was my hobby. It
Yeah.
was not my, let's say, my profession.
Mm. And is it a habit which stayed? Because I mean, what you described means a lot of discipline, a lot of engagement, a lot of feeling of purpose. You're doing something with a passion. Is this
Mhm.
what stayed and made also the other directions possible, just as professorship, just as writing books?
Actually, yes, to be honest, yeah, to venture, to try new things, and let's say, to stick what you're doing. That means not to give up because there's an obstacle around the corner. So saying, any obstacle and any diversion you have to take in your life gives you new perspectives. And sometimes, I think in all our lives, the diversions make you happier, or it's really exhausting when you have a big obstacle and say, okay, what's going on here? For example, in sports, it's concerning when you have health problems, for example, and have to change your training schedule, or even you have problems to qualify for any international championships. That was the case twice in my life. So, and then it's really, in the spontaneous moment, it's really exhausting and frustrating as well. But then you get new ideas, you have to change something, which helps you maybe on the long term,
Yeah.
which you won't experience if you have a straight line in your life.
And how did your parents play a role in this in the past? I mean, you said already from the size, so they gave you and with the gene something which might help you a bit. But how did you behave? I mean, I know there are parents which are very supportive. There are parents who say, "Don't go this way because it keeps away your childhood." How did they behave when they felt, okay, Michael, he means it seriously, so he wants
Mhm.
to go into this direction? He will make his way.
Mhm. They were really supportive. For
Mhm.
example, getting me, to the training because with 14 years you cannot drive by yourself, and public services were not in place at these days.
Mhm.
So this was the supportive stuff, and they have one condition. They said, okay, school and your studies and everything which you prepares for your long-term life until
Yeah.
nowadays, this is number one. This is the top priority. And swimming and really swimming for 30 hours, usually 30 hours training per week. This is your hobby, this is your free time, and you can decide. And this was gives me some safety environment. They said, okay, you can decide every single day to stop your hobby. We are not
Wow.
pushing you to the limit. We are not pushing you that you're winning any gold medal. We are supporting you as much as possible, as usually all parents do with their children, some way.
Mhm.
So, and then they said, okay, Michael, if you want to stop this for some reason, don't be angry, don't complain. We are absolutely supportive because it's your free time.
Wow, that's great that they behaved like this and didn't take over as managers or guiding your way, right? Because I think they made with this the right decision. A lot of parents don't do, as taking it as their own or just managing the guiding principles. That sounds good. How was it when you won first? Can you remember this feeling?
Actually, it's really a process.
Yeah.
I always ask, winning a gold medal at the Olympics must be the absolutely maximum you can achieve. That's true for example, in swimming.
Hmm.
But there's a long way going in front. So actually, you have to see in my Kinderzimmer, you say in German, so my room in the apartment of my parents,
Hmm.
all the medals, usually in swimming, you get medals.
Hmm.
All the medals were in chronicle order. That means you have the, let's say, local state championship medal here from the county of Hessen, where I'm living, still living.
Hmm.
The medals from this championship were hanging with the Olympic gold medal because everything, every single event and every single race was part of the overall story. You're not born to be Olympic champion. It's a long way. In my case, it was away from 8 years training, serious training day by day to be then the top of the world. And there were many, many disappointments and many, many things which happening, which makes you stronger at the end of the day, but are also really sometimes frustrating and yeah, hard to handle.
Hmm. And was it clear for the small Michael that that a goal is getting the world championship, or was it more a goal to be the best swimmer, or was it just a goal to just swim because of want to swimming?
The first step was really just having fun, with the other ones. And it was really here having fun, going to competitions, let's say 100 kilometers around Frankfurt, where I'm still living.
Yeah.
So this was the case. And then there was improvement every single year.
Mm-hmm.
When you're young, you're really improving fast.
Mm-hmm.
That means at the end of the day, after 2 years, I was attending the German championships, and then after 3 or 4 years, I was member of the German national squad, junior squad, and then
Mm-hmm.
then was the qualification for Olympic Games, and it's really you're not getting into the water and starting with, for example, in my case, with 8 years old boy to be Olympic champion with 20 years because there's so many things which can happen. So you
Yeah.
start and have single steps. And then the final step was then the season. In
Mm-hmm.
swimming, you have 2 seasons usually per year. And then getting into 84, in my case, this was really then, hey, right now it's the time to go to the Olympics and trying to get a medal at least, or being maybe a number one, because I was the world record holder
Mm-hmm.
already. So this was then obviously the objective.
Great. I like that. From Olympic gold to life's deeper waters, Professor Dr. Michael Gross, swim legend, academic, and author, shares how champions think. Dive into his story. So, Michael, we had already some discussion on a swimming career, and I would like to step now into the lessons you got from the pool or you learned from the pool. So, is there any discipline from training you still schedule daily or you still do daily? Maybe also swimming itself?
Actually, it's really, not to plan too much forward. For example, in sports, any day you have maybe an injury or something like this. Nowadays, in the digital age, and right now we have artificial intelligence coming around, many, many jobs are affected by all these technical developments, and our society is affected as well, as we know. So to keep flexible, to have an idea and objective, obviously, for let's say the year or maybe for the next 1 or 2 years, but to be flexible on the road, to grab some, let's say, opportunities which are right now coming up, for example, surprisingly, which can happen every single day. So it's not really, to be honest, when I'm looking back on my life and my career, there are so many, let's say, positive incidents which I cannot plan, which but makes me running, makes me giving new ideas. For example, right now in my university, have a professorate in Goethe University in Frankfurt concerning organization and leadership, and the contact with the students and the feedback from the students give me new ideas because they are around 22 to 25 in the master studies, and they have an absolutely different approach to the same questions. And this gives me, as a 61-year-old, meanwhile, really, really much inspiration and doing new things, developing new services, for example, for my clients in the company. So it's really, really like this.
That sounds interesting. And I mean, in the end, you talk about your students, you stand in front of your students, team versus solo sports. You succeeded all alone. What role has teamwork played? And what role does teamwork play now in your life? Because I know, for example, you've written a book together with your wife.
Mhm. The worst time in my swimming career was when I have to train by my own,
Mhm.
swimming back and forth, back and forth. For example, after the German championships and the qualification for international champ, it could happen that I'm the only one from my club to be have the qualification. Then 2 or 3 weeks swimming on my own,
Mhm.
3 or 4 hours a day, the worst time ever. Obviously, you will say, "Hey, while swimming, you cannot talk." You're by yourself before the workout, during the workout for some seconds, you can check
Oh.
up, how it feels, what you're doing. So it's really, really important for me, especially because I'm used to have an individual sport, to have a team. With my wife, for example, we are working together for about right now 20 years in
Mhm.
business, and therefore it's really an inspiration. I couldn't imagine in my whole life to be just trying to find solutions on my own.
Mhm.
You have to do many things on your own, actually. There's no way out. The relationship and the inspiration from other people makes the difference, to be honest.
Mhm. And I mean, swimming alone doesn't mean being alone in the end. No, you had always a team behind you, which were guiding you in there, in that what they could do best by supporting you in the way, just as I think physiotherapists, mental health trainers, or something like this.
Actually, I give you one example. Swimmers, we have the relays,
Mhm.
we have 3 relays usually, and then the swimmers, and not just me, are much faster. And there were already some scientific studies in place where this happens much faster in the relays than individual events. The fastest times in my life, faster than the world record, but in the relay it doesn't count. I swam during the relays.
Oh.
So it's really, really because yeah, there you can give back something. There you can really then appreciate the effort the team members gave you before in many, many days. So and therefore, and the scientific study interviewed the people, and there's the only reason is, that's the only way to give back something to your team members in
Nice.
this relays. So, and therefore you don't need a mental coach for this because this shows again relationships and the inspiration in a team are the most important thing, which I don't think in detail about this, it just happens.
Nice. And do you have a kind of mentor which guided you through your whole life?
Many mentors, obviously. In young times, obviously, it's teachers were some importance, yeah,
Hmm.
because I was in a special school. I don't know how to explain in English, but there's a humanistisches Gymnasium.
Oh,
That means you
great.
start with Latin as a first foreign language.
Yes. Same
With
here.
pardon?
Same here.
Yes, same you. So it's a little weird. It sounds a little weird, and unfortunately, this gymnasium, so high school, changed this course. Right now, we're going to start with English. They're studying primary school in Germany right now in English as well.
Hmm.
So, and therefore, with Latin, and this teacher was really, really inspirational. Although this dead language doesn't mean anything, but it was really a life coach and
Hmm.
gives inspiration, motivates ourselves to be an individual, yeah, looking to each other. So it was really, really inspirational. Then, obviously, the coaches in sports. All
Hmm.
my coaches were not professional coaches, they were also teachers. So they were independent from my success.
Hmm.
This was quite nice. Then even students, as I said before, it's for me the professorate is really to keep in touch with the current developments and to have inspiration to get feedback.
Hmm.
Recently I got feedback because the semester is right now at the end. I got feedback evaluation from my students where I can improve, and this is really really inspirational for me, and not just sticking to what you have,
Hmm.
because you will lose what you have in the future if you just grab it and try to save it somehow.
I like your style because it fits also very much into that what we I think today what we need adaptability and being agile, dealing with the unknown because we can't calculate everything, and having the habit then to just turn and expecting the bad one and bad thing is not helping us. You published a book which has the title "Winning is Something Everybody Can," and it is about asking every day the right questions. How is succeeding related to asking questions?
Yeah, give you examples. For example, what are my objectives? Where I'm heading to? What is really inspirational for me? All these questions, it's really self-assessment you can do are important. And there's no special routine I'm doing. Let's say, for example,
Mhm.
at every January the 1st, I'm asking these questions. It's really a continuous process.
Mhm.
How I'm dealing with this disappointment, for example. And obviously, everyone should have someone around. In my case, obviously, my wife. Right now, I have two kids which are really grown up, so you can talk to your kids as well about some topics.
Yeah.
So it's really important then to raise the question by yourself. And
Mhm.
then, if you want to verify or to, let's say, challenge your answers with others, and therefore to ask the right question. And every day means not every single day, then you're getting absolutely, let's say, crazy about this. But let's say, for example, sometimes, to give you one idea, sometimes during holidays, when
Mhm.
you're on vacation and then you're doing a hike, for example, and then looking around, and then comes a question into your mind, this could happen, and then I'm writing down, it's for me, it's important to write it down by hand, not doing something oral with your mobile or whatsoever. So it's really writing it down and
Mhm.
checking it up because what you're writing creates a picture and you remember this kind of picture.
That's very important what you say because we often think that writing digital is also the same as writing just with a pen.
And
And
no,
I
it's not.
think
It's a huge difference. Yeah.
Exactly. And after
Remember the remarks. In German, you say Spickzettel. I don't know the English name for this. So when you do that little tiny piece of papers, trying to hide away for any exam in school or in university, and I don't know the English name, but you write it down on these
Mhm.
little tiny papers as a reminder, and you remind this. You don't need these papers anymore because you have wrote it down by your own hand, which really gives you the deep dive in your brain. Yeah, this
Sounds fa-
information.
sounds familiar to me. I did it also like this, or created infographics, and the way of putting really complicated things in a structured way together, which helped me later on also doing this in many fields.
For
Um,
example, I give you an idea. Right now, recently, my students asked me how to prepare for the exam. And I
mm,
said, you can use artificial intelligence to do a summary, for example, on our lectures and exercises. You can do this easily, but it won't help you. You have to do it by yourself because in the exam, you're on by own. You're on
mhm.
your own. There are no mobiles, there's nothing else. There's only the pen and you. And my advice would be, of course, you can use artificial intelligence for many, many good reasons, and there are some many, many advantages for preparing yourself for the exam and really understand something. It's not about knowledge, it's about understanding. You need to do it by yourself.
I like your point very much. And I think also, I mean, I can imagine you invited me to one course and I couldn't make it, unfortunately. So we have to look for the future that I visit you once if you like. You said that you, of course, teach leadership. And this is, I think, for me, one of the highest disciplines at the university because it's not just about teaching others or leading others, it's also about self leadership. Um, is there anything also what you involve from swimming? Is there anything also what you involve from your other areas? Maybe also from your idea about relationships, what you give as a lecture to your students? Because I like what you said, how you teach them how they should learn. Because this is something a lot of lecturers, a lot of professors forget. They just let them alone and are surprised if they don't get good results because they thought that they just use AI, right?
Yes, but I'm doing it really interactively, the whole lectures, and therefore they're used to it. And actually, my sports and swimming doesn't mean anything to my students because they have no clue and no idea about my history. Sometimes, which is really funny, sometimes they are asking their parents or talking about what they are doing in their classes, and then they say, "Hey, we have a professor. He's honorary professor, means he's voluntarily, and." That means, hey, this Michael Gross. And then the parents said, which Michael Gross? Is this Michael Gross? Because there are many Michael Gross in Germany. It's a common name in Germany. So yes, that's one. And then they say, okay, and then sometimes students come back and say, hey, I didn't know that you're Olympic champion. I said, I'm not hanging around. I'm not running around with a gold medal around my neck, you know. So, no, I won't do this. Never done this after my swimming career. There are linkages, links to obviously from professional sports to leadership, like
Mhm.
flexibility. That's general approaches, to be honest, like
Yeah.
flexibility in these times. For example, dealing with AI, how you make decisions in the context of AI is important questions for leaders. And this is really that you not sticking to the past and to your
Mhm.
behaviors and routines of the past, that you really have a big openness about the future, what's coming up there, without having an idea and a safe answer about what's happening in the future in this context. And this is really, for example, you can learn from athletes because you never know what's happening even during a competition in this 2 minutes time, for example, in swimming or during a a tennis match, on court. It's you have your skills and your knowledge, and then you have the adaptability to use it in a specific situation. This is actually the definition of performance, as
Yeah.
you know. What is a good performer? This is someone who have a specific capability, which is then being used in a specific situation, which makes you running. But you don't need competence or capability which you don't use. then you are not a good performer. And this
Yeah.
you're going to learn in sports to have a good performance.
Yeah, that's of course really truth words. And if we talk about leadership and go into self-leadership, what makes your own, what is part of your own self-leadership if we come to routines just at food or moving or also maybe getting your mind clean again from toxic things or people?
Mhm. To have breaks, the time where your brain can be on its own. Give you one example, which everyone knows. There's a remote control of our life known as mobile. And when you are waiting in a train station, waiting in the airport, everyone is doing something with a mobile and not talking to each other. And I'm using these waiting times, especially the surprising waiting times, 5 or 10 minutes, to look around. And the brain needs these breaks because if you don't think about something, you get the idea. Everyone knows. When you don't think about a problem, just get out of the situation. It's really, really important to get out of the situation,
Mhm.
to leave your brain alone. Do something else. For example, for me, sports. And my routines, I'm doing 2 or 3 times, sometimes 4 times a week sports for 1 or 2 hours.
Also
Doing
still swimming?
no more mountain biking, fitness studio,
Hmm.
these kind of stuff. Swimming more or less in during the holidays.
Hmm.
So, but these times, I'm not thinking. For example, I'm not using any digital devices during my sports because I just want to do my thing. And my brain, for example, the most important, or not the most important ideas, are many, many ideas about my, let's say, presentations or for new services or for something I could do in lectures. I get when I'm not thinking about, you know, because you have the knowledge
Hmm.
somewhere in your brain, you have the inspirations which you received sometimes, and then this is being combined
Hmm.
automatically without thinking about it. This is um, there's a third mode of our brain actually, which is really, really important. And nowadays, with all the digital devices, we should be careful about our breaks and our, let's say, where you can really breathe and be on your own and self. And sports gives me nowadays this opportunity.
That sounds good. So, thank you very much, Michael, for this engaging discussion and inspiring insights you gave us. And I really look forward to our ongoing exchange and the impact we will continue to make together the world a better place. And I would love to meet you also in Frankfurt, maybe at the Goethe University.
You're
Um,
very welcome.
thank you.
You're very welcome.
So, thank you very much for everything you opened to us and shared with us.
Thank you very much. It was really inspiring for me too, to be honest. Yeah, really, really good.
Thank you.